Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as our signature leaders panel is about to start. In this exclusive gathering, industry's top voices are exploring the trends, updates from 2023, and what to expect in 2024. Please give a warm welcome to our moderator, Andrea Badiola Mateos, Chief Commercial Officer at Finance Magnates Group, who will introduce her panel. Andrea, dear speakers, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, so maybe two. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Hello? Yeah? No? Back? Okay. Thank you, Iskandar. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Without any more hiccups, let's get right to it because we have 40 minutes and we want to leave a couple of minutes at the end for questions. So I'm going to ask the panelists to introduce themselves because nobody can do it better than themselves. Nati, do you want to go first?
Hi, everyone. I'm Tajinder Virk. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Finvicia Group. Finvicia Group is essentially, we are into financial services, or I would say fintech, health tech, real estate, and technology in general. Within financial services, we are into capital markets, wealth management, cryptos, banking, and money business. And
that sums it up. Thanks.
Iskandar Najjar. I'm CEO and co-founder of Equiti Group. And we're a fintech group focused on trading technologies, payment solutions, and digital asset solutions as well. And we're globally regulated in about 8 different jurisdictions, and we have a global mandate.
Thank you. Wei?
Hello, my name is Wei Qiang. I'm based in London. I'm the managing director of ATFX UK and also ATFX Connect. So we are a global broker with 17 offices globally, and then we have multiple licenses as well. We're offering services to retail and institutional clients. Thank you.
Thank you. Elif?
Hello, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Elif Kundakci. I'm the CEO of Swissquote Capital Markets. The SIF belongs to Swissquote Group. It's a banking group in Switzerland, and we are present, as most of the colleagues here as well, in several for brokerage and for CFDs and several financial products. Thank you.
Thank you, Elif. Andrew?
My name is Andrea Ralich. I'm the CEO and co-founder at oneZero Financial Systems. oneZero is a technology provider leading this industry and also the institutional industry, providing risk management, aggregation, and liquidity solutions on the back of many of our friends and clients here today. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you all for introducing yourselves. We're going to dive right into it by opening the floor, asking a bit of a general question, and then slowly we're going to get into more interesting topics. First one, I would like to ask, what are the challenges that you're seeing that the industry is facing in the retail sector in particular within this year, and what do you foresee coming up in the next few months? Iskandar?
Obviously the markets have been very, very range-bound recently. So a lot of brokers have had to look at alternative measures to increase their volumes, increase their appetite around that. There's been a key focus on, let's say, efficiency and optimization, a greater investment into the intelligence of trading and the risk management aspect of that. I think markets have been very, very favorable for the last 4 or 5 years. People were quite well. I'd say technology and data architecture have evolved faster than trading desks could catch up with that. So there's been a lot of investment feeding into that. From our perspective, as we've seen with a lot of brokers here, we've kind of evolved from just focusing on trading technologies, but expanding into wider asset classes. So we've made an acquisition of a payments company at the end of last year. That really added a lot of operational efficiencies within the group, allowing us to target new markets as well, having our own gateway, having our own acquired technology feeding into that. That kind of enhances your client experience, number one, brings a lot of operational efficiencies within the group. And we started to also evolve towards digital asset products. So We're working on a couple of projects under the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority in Dubai. We're going live with those in around Q1 of 2024. Very much focused on digital asset exchanges and tokenization on that as well. So gold tokenization in a regulated environment, very much based on client demands and working alongside governments in helping draft legislation and build a more secure ecosystem for digital assets.
Tajinder.
Sure. I think, during COVID, there was pretty much a rush towards trading, and the whole industry picked up and saw a lot of easy money on the table. After that, what we are seeing is, with obviously AI coming in and blockchain coming in, people running through that, what we've seen is that the demand of the consumer is evolving for the right reasons, and we have a lot more younger population coming into capital markets, and their expectations are different than what we saw from the previous generation. And that's where I think a lot of innovation is required. We at Finvicia, we did a few acquisitions, just to pick up on that space, but we are looking to build a lot of things in-house. The way I see is there are problems that need to be solved that, when there's easy money, it's difficult to look at the problems. When you see the demands of the end consumer picking up because there's too much of supply side of, whether it's brokerages or wealth management or those platforms coming together, is when you see the need to innovate. And we believe organic innovation at Finvicia is what we are trying to drive towards that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tajinder and Iskandar both hit on two very important points, but I think one overarching challenge is as an industry, we don't have like a massive flavor of the week challenge right now, which I think is good. I've spoken on this panel many times over the last 15 years, and whether it was looming regulation trends or this new thing called digital assets and crypto or some big challenge that we all knew to come into with speaking points, I think in a very beneficial way and something we should be proud of as an industry, we've reached a point of maturity. This is a well-regulated industry. The theme of a lot of my discussions over the years on this panel has been patience, and Rome wasn't built in a day was a good cliche and metaphor. We've built a thriving metropolis of an industry that is well-regulated and has plenty of opportunity, as Iskandar pointed out, within technologies that have been developed and deployed and innovation that's occurred to reap and harvest the benefits of some of that. And I think that's a very interesting time for us right now, realizing and growing our partnerships, understanding that things happen a little bit slower when you're a well-regulated and maturing franchise. And I think what we need to be careful of is almost falling back into this thirst to have something to jump at or drive into or find a flavor of the week and jump onto a prop trading or blockchain driven or neo-banking trend for the sake of innovating for the sake of innovating. I think this industry is innovating. We have for a while. We have a lot to benefit and scale from. And talking today about how we take those benefits from previous discussions and where we are as a space and continue to evolve is important.
Mm-hmm. Wei?
I think the biggest challenge for us is compliance and regulations. We have seen a lot of change in European market and UK market in terms of retail business. The margin becomes smaller. So from our point of view, we are changing our strategy a little bit. So that's why in the European market, we're highly focused on institutional offering, liquidity. And for other markets, we promote retail business. Recently, we acquired a license in Australia. We also get a license from Dubai. So I think from that angle, we kind of be patient as well for the business. But the focus slightly changed a little bit.
Elif, do you agree?
I agree with the points mentioned here, but I would like to look at it also from the client's perspective. We have a lot of demands from clients, as you mentioned already, but we have very developed clients by now, as it wasn't 10 years ago. So these demands from clients bring us also to the point to develop good products, good regulated environments, and I think what will come next is really due to this new generation of clients, we will foresee already trends coming and happening due to the demands of the clients. So I believe apart from all the mentioned points, we focus also on the client's requests.
I think also from Finance Magnate side, what we see also is, like Andrew was mentioning, it's strong consolidation of the industry and a very big maturement, particularly in Europe. It has changed a lot in last, I would say, 2-3 years probably. This year, it's probably more felt. And it still brings the challenges that I see some of you are tapping into with the need for payment solutions that answer to our industry. Apparently, what is being provided is not good enough. So some actors are taking matters into their own hands and acquiring a payments company directly so that, it's more efficient and everything. It makes sense. Part of the consolidation, I think.
You're right, and I'll add a little bit more to it. I do speak to regulators like all of us over here do as well, and educate them also. And we do see that sense among regulators as well that they want consolidation in the industry. I remember back in 2006, when I was managing funds for Fortis Bank at Wall Street back in the days, and it was wild, wild west. Like we would go in, my team had like $1.6 billion to manage for the bank, and we were selling, it was a mandate, sorry, don't judge me on it, but we were selling Lehman Brothers at that point, and there were no questions asked by risk management. 2007, 2008 happened, and we saw regulators came very heavily on banks and the prop shops on the banks, and we saw a major change. But I do believe that at to a certain degree, regulation is very helpful and consolidation is very helpful for the industry to be more mature, because we deal with finance and we deal with one of the most emotional aspects of any person's life. And there is a responsibility beyond just providing a liquidity venue to the clients.
Mm-hmm.
Just to touch on that, I think definitely there's consolidation, far better governance than ever before within the industry. I've been in the industry since 2005, and you can see how the companies have formed and shaped and matured over the years, as Andrea had touched on. But through that consolidation, evolution of technology, and the evolution of the fintech environment that we've seen, localization is also very necessary, more than ever before. Not just in different regions, but in countries within those regions. A client in Jordan is different from a client in Saudi. A client in Kenya is different from a client in Tanzania. So you have to have the infrastructure to customize, the resources to allocate where necessary, and adapt the back ends and have the front ends customized where possible. And I think that's definitely a key client demand. And I mean, the vastness of the client space is only growing. I mean, our year-on-year growth is significant. You'd think that the market is mature, but the amount of new clients on board, post-crypto, and even post-crypto. 2020, there was a big wave of new traders coming on board, but we're still seeing that wave continue over the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm. And you have all touched upon it, but I think it's important to highlight as well that the part of technology within the industry, because you're mentioning the back end, the front end, the CRM, everything is powered by the technology behind our companies, right? So what are the challenges that technology is facing this year as well, and how are we facing it going forward? Maybe Andrew, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. It all comes back to scale. I think in a more mature space and industry, it takes a lot more sophisticated kit to run the multi-asset, multi-jurisdictional, multi-generational demands that our clients are seeing from their clients. And in a large, and I don't want to mistake maturity for lack of opportunity. I think there's immense opportunity out there, but this is not a startup industry. We're not buzzing into a new greenfield opportunity where we can build the scaffolding and create the city from scratch. We're operating in an existing environment that we need to adapt within the constructs and infrastructure that we've used to get to this point and run our businesses stably. And that can be challenging. It means innovation takes time and patience. I think, from our perspective, inflation is up, so it's more expensive to run my business than it's ever been. Our costs to use great things like the cloud and scale providers are more expensive than they were 5 years ago. But margins also in a more competitive brokerage landscape are lower. So finding ways to innovate and drive efficiency, I think, is one of the big focuses that we have with our clients today, figuring out ways that they can best use technology, best keep up with an ever-increasing pace of markets. On the back of all of this, the markets are getting faster and more diverse. So more data is flying around between our clients, and managing all that in an existing environment where we stay up 100% and are stable all the time on behalf of our clients is what I get up every day and think about.
Very motivational indeed. I want to touch on a bit of a touchy subject, but we have to, because I think it has been part of the challenges of this year. It's the collapse of SBB Bank. It has affected also, it has contributed to inflation, it has made a huge impact in the world, in the global economy in general. I want to understand a little bit more how it has impacted our industry, the retail, the tech as well, how it has impacted our day-to-day, our business, in all of your businesses.
I think whenever something that big happens, the first thing that comes running after you is the regulator. They make your life, difficult. The distrust when you're dealing with finance and money, is a big deal. Going back from experience, I've seen 2 recessions already, and I believe all of these things are basically a way that we learn that we are getting ahead of ourselves and need to clean up the system a little bit more. We personally at Finvicia, we were not impacted by the bank's collapse in general, and Finvicia itself is also getting into the money business and the banking business, and we look at the challenges, like we call it, banks are the spoiled kid of the regulators. Practically speaking, you go to the bank, you put your money in the bank says, okay, thank you so much. He gives you a number on your screen and gives the money to someone else, and that someone else goes and spend that money on buying something, and then he goes bankrupt, and then bank goes running to the regulator saying, can you give me some money because I'm insured by you, and that's the way I look at that whole thing needs an overhaul in general, and it is these things are good, and they cause consolidation, they cause people to re-look at themselves and re-innovate themselves.
So glass half full.
Yeah. As a part of a banking group, this point was very important. No worries. It was very important for us to look at it very closely, and what we could see how important it was for us, the diversity and the good risk management over the years, which made us to be stable on this reaction, and it's a good example of how things shouldn't be done, and it was very, very moving for us, and we got also a lot of feedback from our investors and clients how we stand on this point. So it was very challenging for us that period of March, but due to our strong experience in good management and diversity, I think we can say that we passed it very stable, and we have good feedbacks on that.
It has consolidated.
Yes, definitely.
I don't think you can give a better answer to that question. I think that is 100% perfect. I don't think SVB is a systemic issue in our industry or the banking industry. If you're in this room and you're thinking, what should I learn from that? It can happen to you. Risk management is so important. You said the 2 words that were key. And also the digital run. I think that is the interesting thing that's come out of this, that in an era of fast money movement and transfers and 0-day and blockchain and things like that, it's easier to move money around, and it's also easier for your clients to get spooked, and money can disappear very quickly in legitimate ways. You need to prepare your business for that.
And I think counterparty risk is essential. No matter how big the brand is, no matter how strong the name is, you always have to have alternatives. A lot of payments companies were using SVB as a settlement bank. So they were trying to find alternatives. And I think it's important, no matter how big the reputation of that bank is, to have alternatives, to really have a strong approach from a counterparty risk perspective. Look at Credit Suisse, for example. Who would have thought that would have happened over the course of a weekend? And that's part of the evolution of our industry as well. I think we're all looking at risk in a very, very different light to 5 years ago. I think not just from a regulator perspective, but from an internal governance perspective as well. I think all of us as brokers have significantly larger ambitions than brokers of our size from 5-10 years ago. The world is very much a huge opportunity within the fintech world. So governance, risk is critical, and counterparty risk is at the top of the agenda on that.
We don't have direct exposure to SPG fund, but we do hear a lot of stories from our suppliers. Bad ones, definitely people know, but also good ones. They do take the opportunity because of the clubs of SVP and also FTX, they are gaining some business. I think for us, we trying to review our current regulation, current procedure for the credit, for the reviews, and we try to educate our customer and our potential client or investors to tell them we are different. We're different than the model they are running. We are following all the rules and regulations, and give them some more confidence and credibility for our business, because we are also in the financial market. The things affected us could also opportunity, from my view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It seems that it's rocky, but we have all learned something from it. And don't put your eggs in the same basket. Spread it. A question about this year. I think it has been a major game changer, probably for the future. But you tell me your thoughts. There has been the digital yuan that has been launched in April this year, April 2023. It's the first time a central bank puts a currency digital. And it makes me wonder what the impact is going to be in our industry, which is all based on the US dollar in particular. It's the base currency in the forex trading market. What are your takes on it? What's your analysis? Wait.
Shall I take this? Because I'm the
Yes.
only Chinese here. I hope this is not broadcasted into China, but I think the current atmosphere or environment we're living in is quite interesting. The war and the China and the US trade war has been going on for a few years. And I believe the whole world is going to a direction, a big change is coming. And whatever China has been trying for ERMB and other things, I think it's good to try. It definitely will cause some, influence on the market. I mean, especially because of the US sanction and other restriction on the money flow. It's a challenge for the current system. But I don't think, in kind of a short term wise, I don't think they will affect US dollars position in a whole global flow environment. Because I've done some research. I've done some, in my last event in Paris. So in a global FX world, every day our volume is about 7 trillion, something like that. 30% of them is about settlement. But the rest of them, 70%, is all about financial hedging, other things. Those things doesn't need to hedge. And those things is like about what we're doing every day. And those ones are highly dominated by the US dollar. So I don't think China's trying for this will affect dollar's position.
And I think there are a lot of other central banks as well coming with their digital currency. For example, I know India's coming with Lakshmi. That's the Indian, digital currency, euro dollar that we're looking at. And we do see, like the world is getting more, it's not as close as we feel anymore. There are more, pockets who want to work independently. I think it would basically, to some extent, it is also, I see personally, as teaching central banks, it's not just the industry that learns, they have to learn as well on how to run their balance sheets. If you look at the debt, that's been printed, not that the supremacy of US dollar is going to come into question, but, the credit system of printing money, because we can print money instead of you going for the, the petrodollars that change the whole thing. It does bring in at some point, when the discipline and the, risk is not managed well, there will be, that uneasiness of people using currency as a commodity to exchange goods.
I think what we need to be careful of is the digital one is almost being touted as the latest validator for crypto evangelists to demonstrate that digital currencies are valid in replacing fiat. But this is a fiat and central bank, in my opinion, innovating in a natural cycle of evolution. Many of our clients and partners in the room, we've traded billions and billions of dollars over the years, and I have not touched cash since I've been here, and probably for a few weeks since I've been home. So there's innovation going on in the digitalization and movement of money, and that's natural. Let's not confuse this with a validator back to why like altcoins should exist, and just remind ourselves that the crypto, big banner flying was decentralization 2 years ago, lack of regulation, then they needed regulation, and now I think a lot of us are questioning, well, what is this actually, if not just a speculative asset out there, because the basis of deregulation or decentralization is going away, and we're seeing central banks innovate, and we're back to just fiat again. Just it's bits and bytes instead of paper dollars.
I agree with Andrew. For me, it was an expected move since we could see more and more people walking towards crypto. So it was, in a way, expected that central banks will try to walk in this direction. And in fact, as Andrew already mentioned, it's just a definition, and it's not more different than a fiat. So I don't see.
Yeah, there's no, I don't know how they will create a distributed ledger that's going to be settled by, publicly decentralized nodes, which basically makes it partially decentralized. And, what blockchain was trying to do is creating more decentralized, peer-to-peer kind of a currency. So there are those, both sides to it that the way I see it. They have to jump on the wagon. They have to innovate as well, for sure.
Precisely. And speaking of blockchain, so will central banks and other institutions go into blockchain and AI? We have seen all year long, we have been talking about AI, but it is very hot, and I think there is still a lot to talk about it. How does that impact wealth management nowadays? What are the challenges? What are the missteps?
Very interesting question. We've been working on AI and wealth management, both of them together at FinVisha, and AI very intensively. It's a buzzword, but what I believe is it's a race that's going to be run by a lot of larger companies. If we don't run the race, we will lose the race, practically. Not that AI is mature enough. So for example, wealth management. One of the biggest challenges, if you think about it, when Facebook came out with their intelligent feed system, where you would see more and more feeds related to what your interests are, what we saw became an echo chamber. And we saw, the world going into extreme, and people just see what they see, and they keep on believing it more and more. Similarly, AI has a bias towards the data it has been fed. And that bias is, if AI is used, AI will be used for wealth management. AI will be used for a lot of other things, artificial intelligence, cognitive intelligence, predictive analysis, things, so on and so forth. However, we do need to look at right now, I believe, some of the problems that I saw was the data that you feed the AI is what trains the AI, and AI has a similar bias to what an average analyst would have, because the data that we fed the AI is what it is finding its analysis from. And how do you make it question its own data and make it question its own assumptions so it could solve a problem? It's not an if and then question. For me, an AI is valuable if I can ask AI, I do not know how this happens. Can you tell me how it happens? Instead of saying, this is how it happens. If you get this question, answer this. So that phase of evolution of AI, which is inevitable based on how I see today's landscape, I think is going to shape up wealth management a lot more aggressively than what robo-advisory did 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think, like you said, AI has been a key buzzword over the last 12 months, probably more so than anything else in the fintech space. But as we started to touch into that, you realize data architecture is critical for the success of AI. And I think most people, especially legacy businesses, will have to do a significant re-architecture of their data setups to be able to achieve true momentum out of AI. I think Meta themselves spent something like $3 billion in redesigning their architecture just to be able to support some elements of that. So I think there'll be some new companies popping up using it, but to use it at scale, I think there's going to be significant investment over the next 3 years, 4 years in redesigning architecture, and we'll start to see pockets of AI really starting to be integrated into our day-to-day lives and really starting to come to life within the wealth management space, within the risk management space, within operational efficiencies, within organizations as well. I think that's our vision. We're very much focused on cleaning up our architecture to embed AI across the wider organizations, not just from a client-facing perspective, but from an operational efficiency perspective, from automation and scale as well. We use it in small pockets in closed data sources, but really embedding it into the wider organization is a big task, but I think those who start working today will benefit from that in years to come.
I think that the first time we were discussing about AI, maybe earlier this year, we were all thinking that it was going to go very, very fast. And then suddenly reality hit. And yeah, AI, it's an amazing tool that can save a lot of hours of work, and it can do wonders and get information that we wouldn't otherwise get, analyze data much, much faster. But it requires the training, it requires the setup, it requires the integration, and it's like you're saying, in pockets, different things. It's not like one integration is going to solve your whole business. So I think that's a key takeout from this year, at least for us as well, because we've also been playing with it.
And it requires the data. I think the conundrum between Iskandar and Tajinder's point is there are more AI startups out there than there are relevant data sets that can actually benefit from regressive machine learning, neural networks, GPT algorithms. They're all very powerful and interesting things, and they rely on scale data in order to function and provide intelligence. Otherwise, they're just artificial solutions. And I think the buzzwordiness aspect of this, I think, is dangerous. I think the race to brand yourself with AI within a firm that either doesn't know how to build out the AI itself or doesn't have a data set relevant enough to produce interesting results is very dangerous. We started this journey 5 years ago. oneZero moves over 4 terabytes of data up into scale cloud storage a day, and we are doing AI. And despite the chagrin of my marketing team and what we want to put out there, we don't like to say it because I think it's too buzzwordy, and I find that a little bit difficult. We're doing great things with massive data sets for our clients, but there's a lot of allure to go to the flavor of the week. So my one point of yours that I'd challenge is an AI startup is a very, it's a challenging thing. The data doesn't manifest out of nowhere. You should be looking to your scale providers. oneZero and our access to quote and trade data for this industry has some really amazing insights that we can deliver to clients. But we're not building AI for your CRM, for your accounting platform. And you probably shouldn't build it yourself. You should wait for Salesforce or Google or one of these companies that has access to a wide, relevant data set to do it. And sorry to the AI startups in the room, but I think that data component is so important.
We do build our CRM based on AI ourselves. But we're also using Salesforce as well. I think the one thing for us is AI is something not only for marketing. Clearly, if you link with your AI on your marketing campaigns, people think, oh, you're a high-tech company. But in reality, we know in principle, we are brokers. We're brokers trying to help people. And then user experience is the main thing for us. So we try to integrate AI with our new CRM and try to use other people's data as well, because user experience, customer service is a common thing from all other brokers, and try to give people some good experience, and plus some marketing bit. But I don't personally believe AI for the retail investors or other people who are not good at technology is a good tool invest in for the trading. I believe the whole financial market is a gaming thing, like I lose, you win. I mean, if you trying to use some amateur AI tools or something to compete with the market, sooner or later you'll be hurt.
To be honest, what I want to add here on this topic is basically, I think that we are too early with AIs to look to wealth management, because the data which we have is still polluted and not built up to give any kind of wealth management suggestion. So definitely as a fintech company, it's very interesting to look at and it's the future, I believe so, but it's too early right now to use this technology. The data set is not clean or not ready, especially the data which you get from outside is polluted a lot of times. So definitely in few years on this panel we will talk differently about it, but at the moment I believe it's just a buzz and still very young to make any conclusions on that.
I'll add a few more words to that. My very first experience with AI was in 1994. ICQ, if you remember, there was a chat software that basically built a chat software in it. If you don't have anyone to talk to, you don't have friends, you can talk to ICQ and he will answer you back. And I think people have been working on AI for very, very long. The point that Andrew mentioned is very relevant. What you mentioned is relevant. The data set is not ready yet. I mean, we look at AI, but we don't understand it's working from the data which it is dependent on, and you become prisoners of your own assumption. However, I do believe that if the data is used properly, and mathematically speaking, for the mathematicians in the room would know, you can never find out the global minima and the global maxima of any curve. You can only find the local minimas and local maximas, which is the biggest shortcoming of any forecasting tool in the world, whether that's AI or any analysis. However, I do believe that if the data is used properly and you know how the system works, and not just using a large language model to give answers to your customers, but actually trying to solve a problem with the right relevant data, there is at least 1 or 2 steps available for us to take right now. The bigger leap will take a lot many more years.
I think a call to action and where I'd like to see innovation in AI is not it being sold, not it being marketed. I think to bring the full conversation together, regulators should be the first implementing AI. They have access to scale data sets. They have access to information, and things like SVB could have been predicted and prevented with the data that exists and that we go jump through hoops to report at the end of every day out to our regulators. So if you're a regulator in the room, my call to action is I'd love to help you on a scale data set.
Isaac in the room. I'm going to have to stop you guys here because we had more questions, but unfortunately we don't have time to go through it. So I'm going to ask you all to share your final thoughts, share with the audience your final tips. I think it has been a very engaging, very interesting discussion, so I thank you all in advance.
I would say, like all the panelists over here, we had well achieved, said rightly, our industry is maturing, and we've gotten a long way in the last, few decades. There's what I personally feel is that there is a responsibility on us as well to really solve problem and build products to be solving problems. There was this whole era of gamification and engagements and things like that. I believe that is where when consolidation happens and value chain becomes more important, solving a problem is going to become the real the real seed of success.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'd touch on solving problems, and also we have significant touch points with regulation. And as Andrew described, we're very, very advanced and have innovation at the heart of what we do. And I think if we can lead the drive towards marrying innovation, digital assets, and regulation, then that's something we should strive and be the differentiators in that space. We're working, as I described, very closely with the regulators in Dubai to focus on digital asset legislation and bring that to life. And we're launching some products at the beginning of next year with that touch point, and I think that's the evolution of where we will see ourselves in the next 12 months.
Thank you, Iskandar. Wei?
In my opinion, I think this year could be interesting. I think there's some storm coming, but we're not seeing that yet because we're talking with people outside just now. I mean, interest rate is high, cost is high, but I have seen many people having no problem traveling, holidays, no complaint at all. So I think we will see more trouble in the coming months. And I would advise people be resilient, be patient, and then try to diversify your portfolio and try to look at some regions probably new to us, probably interesting to explore. For example, like LATAM.
Thank you.
I think as financial service providers, we have all responsibility towards our clients to behave well and responsible towards their assets, and therefore it's important for us to say you have to be thoughtful with the partner you are choosing, and also give the chance to new ideas, although you have to be thoughtful and responsible towards your client. So with the new technologies or the happenings during March, to combine this together, definitely new technologies, if we would be without trying them out, something like March and Silicon Valley would happen again. So therefore, we have to be responsible with the regulations, with the clients, and use the technology in this direction.
Make it fast and cheap too.
I can't. Oh, I thought you said make my closing statement fast. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna use my soapbox for one point that we didn't get to touch on here. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been in this space for 15 years. I'm very proud of how oneZero has grown. I love this industry, and as I said, I wake up every day making sure the engine that drives 250 banks, LPs, prime of primes, and brokers in this space runs and performs, and you guys get to run your business. And a lot of people in my family and in my company rely on this industry. Prop trading. Please, those of you out there who are making decisions to jump after that, do so responsibly and remember how far we've come as a regulated industry. I think this trend is very interesting. I think there are things that we can create and there's no rule against it, and that's interesting. But there is an underlying rule against fraud that exists across every regulatory jurisdiction in the world. And I just want to use this opportunity to say what an interesting mechanism that we found as an industry, one that technology can support, one that we're observing. If you tell a client that they can graduate to a certain point and you fund them an account, on their account, put that money aside and do it the right way. This is a concerning trend for me in the industry, and nothing really to do with oneZero, but we didn't get to touch on it, and I hope people are making responsible decisions, because a lot of people have worked very hard to get this market to where it is, and those cities take a long time to build. They can burn down overnight with bad decisions. So.
Thanks, Andrew. We will talk about it at the London Summit, don't worry. Thank you all very much. I'm going to ask you for a big round of applause for our panelists.